Hello, everyone, and welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is June Liu. How you doing, June?
Doing well.
So tonight we are talking about the Southern Draw Duello Limitada 2016 Firethorn. This is a Perfecto that's 5-inch by 58 ring gauge. Comes out of the Tabacalera Fernandez factory in Nicaragua. Wrapper is Ecuadorian Habano Rosado. Binder is Mexican San Andres, and the filler is from Nicaragua. Blended by Robert Holt. Price point on this cigar is $10.99, and it was released in August of 2016. This cigar actually comes packaged as a pair, so you get two cigars in the pack. So $10.99 for a single, but it's a little more expensive because you're buying a pair at a time. So kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about going to pick this up. But with the stats out of the way, let's get into our experience notes. So June, what was your pre-light experience like?
I thought the two cigars had a very fine sandpaper like. I put a more of a Colorado Claro shade wrapper to it. Things well pressed, seems tight. Cigar felt really well bunched and rolled. It provided a very uniform, like a very structured give throughout. Head finish off with a really well adhered. I think it was a triple cap. I tried to do a double lug, but it was a really deep cap. So that was good in terms of multiple snips if needed. Getting to the pre-light aromas. On the wrapper, I got namely dry white pepper and cedar, foot aroma with a little nipple of a foot. I got some intense black pepper and cedar, but I really shoved it, but nostrils really smell it.
Right.
Cold draw, got my stereotypical dry cardboard, cedar, and a little bit of black pepper coming through. So all in all, a good presentation.
Yeah, wrapper's medium brown, some very fine veins on it. Seams were nearly invisible, and the caps were perfectly applied. Cigar's an interesting shape. Box press perfecto. Don't really see that very often. Bellicoso type head. Then at that foot, very drastic reduction with that kind of that small open nipple that you mentioned. Cigar has two bands, standard Southern Draw band, and then a secondary band that has the Firethorn name on it. Both bands are gold, multiple shades of red. And like I was mentioning, the cigars come in pairs. So there's another band that goes around the pair. And it's it's like a blue band, like I don't know, like a baby blue maybe. And
Uh,
it's got the Code Duello name on it. Would you say baby blue or a little bit darker than that? And then the aroma from the wrapper was like a light barnyard, and the foot was barely open. So I was getting like a slight tobacco sweetness there, but otherwise I was mainly getting that same light barnyard that I was getting from the wrapper. And the pre-light draw was like just kind of like a light sweet hay for me. So getting into flavors, first third to final third, what was your experience like?
so when I first lit it up, I immediately went to like the plant kind of flavor spectrum.
Hmm.
Specifically, I got a lot of hay and some smoky wood out of it. So after kind of burning through that initial half an inch or so, which is basically, you know, burning through that nipple area and then kind of getting into the extent of the ring gauge of the cigar, right? The majority of the ring gauge of the cigar. I started getting some very distinctive herb and spices mixed in the form of dry black pepper and some baking spices. I also got like this very underlying medium light body sweet creaminess that paired with dry nuts. So really dug that flavor profile. Was increased black pepper and cedar. Finish was pretty lengthy with black pepper on the rear palate, and then I got that fake smoky wood on the entire palate, just coated. In terms of body and strength, just seeing throughout the entire smoking experience, which was medium. Moving into second, third, the main difference between first and second, third is the increase in the intensity of the black pepper. So, I think that for me, the black pepper kicked up like probably more 40% more than it did in the first third. And when I say that, I'm by no means am saying that it was a really peppery cigar. I'm saying that it was more pepper. Um, but the pepper started going towards the back of my throat, which it didn't irritate my throat, but it was definitely there, kind of lingering on the rear palate. Um, and in addition to that, I still had the hay, baking spices, and dry nuts. Um, and sweet cream that I was getting, but perhaps it got overtaken by I started getting some intermittent floral notes, and it was a little bummer because I dug that floral note in this profile, and I just wish that it was more consistent. Um, Retrohale, same thing. Elevated levels of black pepper and oak finish, also unchanged with lengthy notes of black pepper and faint smoky wood. Now moving to the last third. Um, so the last third, I cut it into halves. So first half of the last third, exactly the same thing as the second third. So what's most notable is I'll pick it up from my experience at the latter half of the last third. So at the latter half of the last third, I started getting slight harsh bitterness started to emerge. Um, but luckily, the bitterness didn't take over the other flavors, the other flavor profile. So I still were to get, that same hay nuts. Um, Through the nose, still increased black pepper and oak. Finish still very lengthy with black pepper and pink smoky wood. So all in all, I mean, this felt like a wood and spice dominant profile for me.
Yeah, for me, initial draws brought a good dose of oak and cream. There was also a little bit of pepper in the background. Then after a few draws, the burn area kind of increases once it gets past that nipple area. And the cream went away, and the oak remained and became a little slightly drying at that point. Retrohale was primarily oak, a little bit of pepper on the finish. At 3/4 of an inch, I got a bit of cream that came back to the profile, causing the oak to not be so dry. And then near the end of the third, the oak became a little bit younger and greener, which was like a pleasant change at that point. There was also an increase in the pepper level. And on the retrohale, I was getting an intense spiciness, and that was giving a good zing through my nostrils. And the strength level was just a little bit above medium at that point. Second, third, a little bit of bitterness joining in with the oak, the pepper, and the mild cream. Retrohale still had a decent spice to it. Half an inch in, some minerality came into the profile to mix with the oak, the pepper, and the bitterness, and the cream had completely gone away at that point. At the 1 inch mark, the bitterness increased and the oak moved to the background. The pepper had left the profile, and as the third was coming to a close, that bitterness settled down some, but it was still up front, and the oak was in the background. The spice that was in the retrohale had completely disappeared, and then it was really just a creamy oak, and the strength had increased to medium full. And then in the final third, the bitterness had decreased some, and the oak gained a little bit of a char to it. At a half inch in, that charred oak came up front, and that bitterness moved to the background. But the retrohale was like still a creamy oak. At 3/4 of an inch in, a little bit of mintiness joined in with the charred oak and the bitterness. That's kind of the profile that the cigar finished out with, and the strength was still at that medium full. So getting into performance, burn and draw, what was your experience like?
I thought that starting with the burn, I gave it the best score that we have, which is amazing. And the reason I did that is because, I mean, I first look at, a perfecto size cigar with the tapered foot being typically so hard to get going once you get that pre-light going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that toast going. But it didn't, that didn't have issues at all with these cigars. After just toasting that little foot, I was able to smoke through it just fine. I never had to do any touch-ups or relights at all within the samples, within the couple of samples that we had. And then, talking about the burn time, I mean, I got really ridiculous 2 hours and 36 minutes out of the smoking times, which is nuts. I felt like the first third especially burned pretty fast. But by the second, third, it burned, the burn got really slowed down. And it's not like I, decreased my draw speed either. It was just slower burning. What else? very, pretty sharp burn line throughout the whole time, aside from the very beginning when it was trying to get through that, tapered foot. Ashes held on very tight for my examples, not average 1 inch increments. In terms of the draw was a tad loose for both examples. I personally recommend you cut this cigar, snip it a little bit at a time to hopefully catch that desired draw. But I snipped it at like probably a fourth of the way down to the cap, and it was significantly loose. But that's all right. I mean, the cigar never overheated. I was still able to taste everything that I tasted without, heat being a factor. So,
Mhm.
yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah, there was nothing to complain about for the burn. I mean, it was razor sharp the entire time, not really any variations at all. And the ash was holding on for 1 inch increments. And the draw was perfect also for me. And I thought that was really good accomplishment based on the ring gauge changes and things like that. So you go from that really tight nipple to then it gets much fuller and then it kind of tapers down as you get to that more kind of a bellicoso type head. So really no complaints from me on the construction at all. So what were your overall thoughts on the cigar?
Overall, the thing that I enjoy most about this cigar is the distinctiveness of the interplay of the wood and pepper mixture. Um, I need to jog my memory because I don't know I don't recall what the other Firethorn Vitola tasted like. What I also understand through, I think you talking to Robert, is that this particular Firethorn, the Cold Duello version of it, is a reblend. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
different
it's
blend.
not like it's not like just a different Vitola of the original Firethorn. It's a completely reworked blend.
Okay, then that begs the question of then why did he call it Firethorn? Anyways, then I don't know. That's something he has to answer. But nonetheless, because it's called Firethorn, I'm curious as to what the other Vitolas tasted like. I think I remember having one Firethorn and another Vitola, but it was never reviewed. It was just one of those things I was smoking for pleasure.
Hmm.
Aside from all that, I think that, you know, apparently when Robert missed IPCPR this year, rather, that he was working on, this was one of the things he was working on, and it became, I think it became a success. I mean, and then you have to factor in for perfecto size, 2.5 hours of smoking time per cigar. You're talking basically $5 a cigar retail. So that is quite a bang for the buck too, which I don't factor in. We don't factor in our reviews, but that's an added extra bonus, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought this was just an okay cigar. The flavors for the first two-thirds were pretty average. It was kind of primarily woodiness with some cream and a little bit of bitterness that came in as the core flavors. It improved in the final third with a better mix of the flavors. But I think the strength of the cigar kind of precludes it from being something to recommend to like a new smoker. But I think experienced smokers will probably find it a bit more appealing. With the cigars coming as pairs and the concept that it has, I think this could be a really good experience to have with a friend. So you kind of buy the 2 pack and you kind of split it up and you guys kind of sit down and have that smoke together, which I think is one of the whole concept of this pairing. So um, not really something that was a hit for me, but I think other people may enjoy it. I mean, I think you had a better experience than I did, so just maybe just a miss for me, but definitely something I could see other people might really enjoy. So getting into scores, you gave it a 6.93. I gave it a 6.33. How do you think your score matched up with your experience?
I think it's twofold of course, once again the flavor experience and the construction. I think if I were to think about, I, I think the higher score, getting close to that 7, has the amazing score of the burn factored into it. And that's just kudos to AJ's Factory, right? And really, of course, under Robert's provision as well. So, in terms of flavor profile, that was consistently good. Nothing that's knocking off my socks good. Or else it would have been very good.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I stand by that score, and the construction, the beautiful construction definitely helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think my score matches up well with my experience. It was a little bit, I guess, too linear for me in the kind of the first two thirds, and it picked up in that final third. I just wish that kind of the final third is kind of how the cigar kind of started and kind of went through the entire way. But like I said, it's still a good cigar. It's just not something that's I don't think it really hit my profile. But I could definitely see people liking it. I think the concept's cool with the pairs, things like that. So I mean, I've smoked a couple. I'll smoke a few more just to make sure I'm not missing out on something. But I think people just need to go pick some up, see what they think, and then they can kind of go from there on that. Do you have any final thoughts on this cigar?
No, just to kind of bounce off of what you said in regards to the cold duello aspect of it. I think it's a great concept. One of the favorite things to do, especially when I go herf with somebody, and definitely, for instance, when you and I get together, I always try to match up to smoke the same cigar, so we bounce off. We share thoughts about the cigar together,
Right.
and friendship evolves and community evolves as a byproduct of that. And I think that's what Robert's intended with this concept, and I think it's a great concept that that people should do more of, honestly. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also go to the website, developingpalates.com, to read the full written review. But be sure to follow us on all social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.